And he just wasn't ready to take it.
I guess he was locked up on it.
Yeah.
Dale Hatcher, who underwent arthroscopic surgery on his left knee, his planting knee, and missed the first half of the season. Takes the good snap and gets away a very good pick. Dennis McKinnon calls for the fair catch at the 20-yard line and holds on there after a 43-yard punt. 13:07 to go in the first half. 3-0 LA.
Exactly run to the bank with that.
And with 9:57 to play in the first half, Mike Ditka's Chicago Bears trail the Rams 6-0. Lansford to kick off. Thomas Sanders and Dennis Gentry are back to receive for Chicago. At the 8-yard line, Sanders gets taken down at the 21-yard line. Tackle made by Clifford Hicks. And Larry Kelm also helping out.
I don't know what's tougher, being a defensive player, running all the way down the field and getting a hit on somebody, or then getting up after the play and having your teammates pummel you.
It's getting dangerous, particularly when you score.
Look how hard these guys hit each other.
They maul each other.
Kelm gets up there and takes about 4 shots to the chop.
And it wasn't that good.
He's got to be seeing stars.
First and 10, Chicago from the 25-yard line. Sanders and Muster are the running backs, and here's Sanders up to the 25-yard line. He is stopped by Carl Eckern. Sanders played a big role the last time these two teams faced each other on a Monday night 2 years ago in Chicago. Good game as the Rams won it 20-17 on a field goal by Lansford with 4 seconds to play.
And I think the Rams here are tipping their hands. 8 men that time up within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage. It's the same old story. They're going to force Harbaugh to beat him in the air. And as you can see, only 4 passing yards there for the Bears.
And only 90 yards total offense for the two teams in the game so far. Big hole for Sanders, who exploits it and has a first down moving to the 36-yard line, and the block was laid by Jim Colbert to spring him.
Well, that's what happens when you get everybody up there. That time they had 7 up there. They were in man-to-man defense, and they are just relying on the overwhelming number of men power to stop the play. And once you get through it, you're going to pop for a big one. Here it is again. Sanders working to the left, straight zone blocking, nobody pulling. Bort's out in front of it. Huge opening. And when you would think with the men deployed to the line of scrimmage, you wouldn't get that opening.
Sanders, his 3rd consecutive carry, takes it to the 38-yard line for a pickup of 2. 2nd and 8.
Bears last week ran off 80 plays against the Green Bay Packers. They love to dominate. They love to do that by running.
There's a good trivia question. Who would have thought that A&M would lead any university in the number of running backs here in the NFL currently?
Won a few bets. 2nd down and 8.
Frank, it's not Southern Cal either. What a shock.
I'm still thinking.
On 2nd and 8, it's lofted for Muster. And a first down.
Oh, there goes a flag.
46 and a flag.
That's a late hit by a mile.
And confusion in that Ram defense, too. Muster out of the backfield, nobody picking him up. And you get a lot of that when you start showing those multiple fronts, using a lot of blitzes. You'll make mistakes, and they're very expensive. Johnny Johnson coming out there gets his hand on the helmet.
Here comes the late hit, though. Watch the left of your screen.
Call it either way, though.
62. Offense. Holding. 23. Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness. Offset. Replay. Still 2nd down.
Well, that time Mark Bortz for the Bears gets called for the hold, and Michael Stewart gets the late hit on the sidelines, and that's going to offset everything. And boy, that would have been a huge gain for the Bears if you take the reception that time by Muster and then tack on another 15.
Would have been 17 plus the penalty. Instead, back it comes to the 38. Play it again on 2nd down and 8 from the 38. 6-0 Rams, 7:48 to play, first half. Ron Morris in motion. And Harbaugh steps up, hits Muster, and he gets to the 44-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and a short 3. Carl Eckern, the linebacker, and Fred Strickland converge on the tackle.
If Jim Harbaugh can continue when he gets in trouble to step up and rather than force the ball way downfield, do what he did there, just take that short dump off, I think he's going to be better off. But he has taken some punishment early on in this ball game.
He's big and he's strong. He's very sure of himself. We had a long talk with him last night. He kept his concentration there. He knew that he was going to get hit by Kevin Green, but he kept looking downfield, got the completion.
3rd and about 2.5 from just outside the 44. And Harbaugh to the air, protected well, and he lost it for Sanders, but out of bounds. He had good touch on the earlier pass to Muster, but this one was thrown out of bounds.
And that's Kevin Green, the man we saw last time blitz and get in and drive Jim Harbaugh into the ground. That time it's Green back with the coverage. And the Rams right now appear to be playing their game plan the way they want it defensively.
Wagner confirmation. Takes us deep.
Varying their looks. One time a linebacker comes on the blitz. The next time you look for him on the blitz, he's back in coverage.
High snap. Wagner comes down with it and gets the kick away. Hicks fields at the 15. Chased by Boso, eludes him, but not 2 others, including Mickey Pruitt and John Shannon. A 40-yard kick and a 1-yard run back. 6:44 to go in the half. It's still 6-0 Rams. 6-0 over the Bears.
There's Duerson right up in the line again.
From the 13-yard line. This drive begins with Bell wrapped up by Singletary. A 4-yard loss.
What a remarkable man. Not only the leader spiritually, but he knows what's happening out there at all the time. Look at these eyes. They're total focus. And right behind the pulling guard and right in the face of Bell.
Mike is able to make those plays to the outside because of the fact that Duerson is right up in the middle. They almost have Duerson at times playing middle linebacker and Singletary playing the plays more to the outside. There's Duerson up there again. Good look at it. 22.
On 2nd and 14, the pump, and then Everett goes deep, but great coverage and nearly picked off. Intended for Willie Anderson, but Maurice Douglas was back there, and Anderson had no shot at it.
The Rams almost hoped that Douglas catches that and they could down him. That's better than any punt they could have gotten out of there if they don't pick up a first down.
There's the double coverage. Bestie Jackson, and coming over, Maurice Douglas, who should have had it.
Sensational effort, though, by Douglas. Look at him lay out for that ball. Gets both hands on it, and that would have been a sensational catch, Frank.
You know, you hate to talk about it, but had he kept those hands down for a moment, used them like a sprinter, he would have been under that ball a lot further.
3rd and 14. And Charles White has to get to the 24-yard line, but he comes up about 2 yards shy. So the Rams, and that's something they've done for years, on 3rd and long, they'll keep it on the ground, try to fool the defense that way, and they fooled them, but not to the extent that they had to, and they'll have to kick.
They came close, though. I think everybody in a white jersey down there kind of had a lump in their throat because Charles White came within a yard, even less than a yard. I mean, he's very close to it, having picked up that first down.
The Rams to kick, and Hatcher nearly had it blocked, and a flag goes down as the kick goes out of bounds at the 45-yard line. There's a flag down at the line of scrimmage.
Keep in mind, any sort of a 5-yard penalty against Chicago, if they line up in the neutral zone or anything like that, will be good for a first down. But no, it's going to be an eligible man downfield. And I would have have to assume that Chicago's going to decline this.
Yeah, what's Silva doing talking to Eckert? I was just going to say.
Maybe he was saying, if you were a Bear, what would you do here?
Help me out here.
He's saying, we'll take it.
Yeah.
5 yards, that's nice, thank you.
32, kicking team. Downfield, decline.
Yeah.
First down.
I'm sure Eckert was saying, oh, yeah, we'll kick it again. No problem.
Yeah.
Bears at the 45-yard line. 1st and 10. So Chicago starting near midfield. Harbaugh trying to get it going in his first NFL start. McKinnon in motion. And on a sweep, it's Neil Anderson. And he can't turn the corner. Stopped at the line of scrimmage. Again, the significance of this game, the Rams are everything but mathematically dead for a playoff spot if they lose. The Bears, well, they're already in the playoffs, but they want to avoid having to play Minnesota for the Central Division title in that last game, and they can take a big step toward avoiding that with a victory here tonight.
And we saw Jim McMahon on the sideline, and I wouldn't be surprised if next week is the week that he comes back. They'd like to get him some experience before that Minnesota ball game, before having to go to the Metrodome. They don't want that to be the first shot that Jim McMahon gets.
Not against that defense.
2nd and 10. And they run a reverse. McKinnon to the outside into Rams territory. And with some great open field movement, takes it to the 43-yard line. Stopped by Eckert.
That's why he's such a good punt return man, because that basically was turned into a picket line for him. And McKinnon, who is one of the best in the league at returning punts, got behind the picket line, turned it into a big gainer when most people would have been stopped behind the line of scrimmage.
Really, this is defense beautifully by the Rams. Watch the Rams get upfield, seal this play off. McKinnon is going to work his way all the way back inside, and this is really a dead play. Look how well the Rams have this defense. Right there, McKinnon has nowhere to go, and somehow he gets outside. Keith Van Horn delivers a block, and he makes something out of nothing.
And a whistle before the inception of the play. It's not delay. It's illegal procedure. After a 13-yard pickup.
Number 62. Ball start.
Mark Bortz.
5 yards. Still first down.
Left guard.
Again, I go back to that reverse by McKinnon. We all saw that play, and when we saw it unfold, I'm looking at a 6 or 7 yard loss to the Bears, and instead McKinnon, and with that block from Van Horn, really makes something out of it.
And he helped set up that block, dipped inside, then broke out. Van Horn had looped out, fanned back. Good move by both of them.
1st and 15. Rams on top 6-0. 3:20 to play in the half. Chicago at the LA 47. Harbaugh hits Anderson. He's out of bounds at the 38-yard line, a run out of bounds by Jerry Gray, and they were about 7 yards shy of a first down. Make it 6.
Neil Anderson, the Chicago Bears Travelers Man of the Year for not only his play on the field, and he came in tonight as the second leading receiver for the Bears, and the Travelers Man for the Year in the NFL. Each team has a representative, will be announced at the Super Bowl, and it was Dave Duerson a year ago who was the Travelers Man of the Year from the Chicago Bears. Not what you do in the football field, you have to do that well, but what you do off.
2nd down and 6 from the 38-yard line. McKinnon in motion. Toss to Anderson. First down, takes it to the 30-yard line, and the way was led by Matt Suhey in his 9th year. And how many times has he led the way for Bear running backs? Most often, of course, Walter Payton.
A lot of versatility with all these Bear backs. You bring in Sanders, he's a good receiver. Matt Suhey, a fine blocker there in his 9th year out of Penn State. You learn a lot of things under Joe Paterno, and one of them is how to block, and Suhey's been doing that for a lot of Bears runners, particularly Walter Payton, for a lot of years. But he's a good receiver out of the backfield. And Brad Muster, the first-round draft pick out of Stanford, 190 receptions at Stanford. They do a lot of things.
From the 30, Harbaugh starts to stumble, but hands the ball off to Sanders. He takes it to the 25-yard line. It'll be 2nd down at about 5, and that should take us down to the 2-minute warning. 2:15 on the clock at the moment. So the Rams are on top, but tenuously, 6-0. And as we come upon the 2-minute warning, it'll be 2nd down and 6 for Chicago when we come back. And we'll return to Anaheim Stadium after this message from the National Football League. And a postscript to that, happy to announce today that the NFL Charities announced a $25,000 grant to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. No greater charity. From the Goodyear Blimp Columbia, a look down into Anaheim Stadium. That's a 2-minute warning, 2 minutes to go in the first half. 2 Mike Lansford field goals. The only scoring thus far, 6-0, but Chicago on the move, 2nd and 6 at the Ram 26.
That's not far off from the view from the press box up here.
In fact, it may even be better.
It's about what we're looking at. This is one of the higher vantage points in the league here at Anaheim Stadium. A stadium Woodhouse built for baseball. They really didn't intend to play football here when this was designed and constructed.
In the mid-60s. In fact, the press box here is located in Santa Ana.
Some of the people of Los Angeles still haven't figured out that they're playing football here.
2nd and 6 from the 26. McKinnon in motion. Anderson hit hard as he crosses the 25, popped by Jim Collins, number 50, and it's going to set up a big 3rd and 3. And the clock running with 1:45 to play in the half.
Rookie tight end Thornton, number 80, brings the play in from the bench. Mike Ditka calling most of them along with Greg Landry over the sidelines.
They have to get just inside the 21-yard line. Ball at the 23, 3rd and a short 3. And over the middle, a first down as the catch is made by James Thornton, the rookie who played his college football right up the road at Cal State Fullerton, and he takes a timeout.
And a good look at how this man, Mike Ditka, always keeps his team in transition. Because see the guy standing right to his right? Emory Moorhead, the tight end that for the last dozen years has been there for the Chicago Bears. In that type of a pressure situation, he's the guy you would normally think would be called upon on a 3rd and short yardage catch in the, deep in the opponent's territory. But Mike Ditka has a plan. He rotates these guys around. He has all 3 of them taking their turns, and Thornton is the guy that is there. His number is called, and it really doesn't matter whether he's a rookie or not.
And a guy you don't hear much about is Bill Tobin, who is the vice president of the Bears in player personnel. And you hear so much about Mike Ditka, and he's done a wonderful job with him. But the reason Ditka can move these people around is that over the years, Bill Tobin is a man who has been out there. He replaced Jim Finks back in, 1983, I believe. And he has been the man who has acquired these players. You hear of all the great personnel people. Well, he has got to be right up there with the best of them.
1st and 10, Chicago at the 16-yard line. Moorhead in motion. Harbaugh throws on the run and incomplete. Everybody was covered and the flag is thrown.
And they're going to get him for intentional grounding.
They are.
Here's the deal. If you throw the football away with the intent of avoiding a sack, they're going to call intentional grounding, and Fred Silva trailing the play.
Illegal pass, intentionally grounding, number 4, 10 yards, still first down.
You can intentionally ground the ball, but not if it's to avoid a sack. And you see Doug Reed bearing down on Jim Harbaugh, and frankly, I think it was his throwing motion. Watch his throwing motion. He almost, you can see that he intentionally throws it into the ground.
See, number 87, that's Emory Moorhead. He had been knocked out of bounds by number 20, Johnny Jansen. The official threw a flag down, and all of a sudden, Harbaugh had no place to put it. And this is trouble here as Van Horn, for the 2nd week in a row, has to go out of the ball game. The big right tackle for the Bears.
And he was hurt earlier and was limping earlier, and Wojciechowski replaces him on 2nd down and 20 after the penalty. Harbaugh has it tipped away by the big hands of Gary Jeter in his 12th year. The former Trojan, and what a season he's had, especially early on. He had 5 sacks in 1 game against the Raiders.
Former #1 draft pick of the Giants, pick number 77.
Here's Gary Jeter. Watch here. Just watch him work to the outside. And like we've seen Too Tall Jones do a million times, if you're not close to the quarterback, leave the ground, get up in the air. And look at Jeter. Look at the hustle. Jumps over Jim Covert and has the athleticism and the desire to get up and block the pass. A lot of guys, I'm going to tell you, would have stayed on the ground and said, I did my job.
Shotgun, 3rd and 20. They send Gentry in motion. They send 5 receivers into the pattern, but keep it on the ground, and Neil Anderson, as Hilgenberg snapped it to Anderson. That's a play that several teams have worked to perfection recently, including Houston, but not here for Chicago.
That's not easy for Jay Hilgenberg to do. That's a blind shotgun snap to throw it about 4 or 5 degrees off center right to Neil Anderson. It was a perfect strike.
They were watching Thanksgiving Day in the Houston-Dallas game. 39-yard attempt coming up for Butler. Brian Wagner, the punter, to hold. And the kick is good. So most expected a low-scoring struggle, and it's gone very much that way in the first half. 3 field goals accounting for all of the scoring. There is Mike Tomczak with the separated left non-throwing shoulder, and he thinks he can be back before the regular season is over, which would mean in 2 weeks against Minnesota.
He has that strap on him, but he has taken that strap off, and he's able to get the arm and way up over his head, and Mike Ditka is confident he will be back.
Meanwhile, if you haven't seen it, take a look at this. Maybe if you were out of the country, you'll get a kick, because this made a few highlight shows last night. Worth another look, though. Kansas City had scored at the end of the game yesterday, 1 play remaining, and the Jets trying to take a page out of Joe Kapp's book in the Cal Stanford game in 1982. Just run out of gas the way it turns out.
I like this.
12 different people touch the football by the time it's all finished, and the guys in the white shirts here, I seem to not be able to figure it out. You're supposed to be going the other way. They're taking also a page out of Jim Marshall's playbook, heading the wrong way.
Just the way they drew it up.
Frank, we've done the Rugby League Championship at Wembley Stadium. This is what it looks like. Leeds against St. Helens.
That's Leeds.
And then finally the play ends there as the Jets step out of bounds. Here a bouncing kick is fielded by Robert Del Pino. And a good run back as Del Pino takes it to the 42. But now keep in mind, the Rams had to use 2 timeouts in the first quarter, and they're down to 17 seconds only anyway at the end of the first half here. John Robinson, the challenge ahead. A look at the playoff picture. The 2 featured subjects tonight at halftime.
Robinson is a very unusual man. Very optimistic, speaks candidly. Anything you ask him, you get an answer from this man.
Well, maybe we should have asked him to explain the playoff picture.
We will. At the 42-yard line. Everett going deep for Anderson. No. Out of bounds. He made the catch, but he's out of bounds. Willie Flipper Anderson, the rookie from UCLA, and he's been a big play man for them, and Lemuel Stinson was covering.
He's been averaging 29 yards of reception. Had Everett put this inside, this could have been 6 points.
Except Stinson's to the inside, and Everett really has to drop this down in there, and a good call by the official who's in perfect position, but Lemuel Stinson taking the inside away a little bit, and Willie Anderson, good concentration on the ball. He's got to go to the ball. There's no way he can figure out where the sidelines are on that kind of a pass.
Again, Stinson taking the spot of the bench Richardson. And going deep, and only Vesti Jackson is back there, and he intercepts it.
Oh, was he open?
You might say. That's the 7th pass that Jackson, quietly having a terrific year, his 7th interception of the season. He has really come into his own.
Frankly, Vesti Jackson right here, if you wanted to be nitpicky about it, probably should have brought it out of the end zone and tried to run it back for a touchdown. Granted, it's a 100-yard stroll,
but it's only 1 second remaining.
Yeah, it's a play that really is a no lose, and
see how open
Frank called it. This guy is wide open. He almost should have fair caught it. Vesti Jackson, that's number 7 this year, and Those are the kind a defensive back likes. Very little work involved in grabbing one of those.
So one play remaining from the 20-yard line. And it will be a touchdownless first half at Anaheim. As the Bears run out the clock, 2 Lansford field goals, 1 Butler field goal, and that's it, a rapid first half at Anaheim, which ends with Los Angeles leading Chicago 6-3. We'll return to Anaheim Stadium after this message from the NFL, a word about an upcoming show on ABC, and a word from your local station. Coming up, a look at the challenge John Robinson faces, and a look at the playoff picture.
We're back at Anaheim Stadium at halftime. It's the Los Angeles Rams over the Chicago Bears in the game that the Rams must win if they realistically are going to have any hopes for a playoff. It's the kind of a challenge that head coach John Robinson likes. John Robinson, one of the unusual coaches in the game today, former great coach at USC, 3 Rose Bowl champions. Lynn Swann was at USC when John Robinson was an assistant, and I think it's interesting, John tried to recruit you to go to Oregon even a few years before that.
He sure did. In 1970, he tried to get me up to Oregon, and then he joined me down at USC in 1972. Ever since I've known John Robinson, he has always been a winner, assistant at USC at the Oakland Raiders, now Los Angeles Raiders, and then as a head coach for USC. The reason why I mention all these things is because when the team is not doing well, you first look to their head coach to bring that team out of the slump. And when the team, as Al Michael said, goes 0 for November, we then have to focus all of our attention on the head coach. That's John Robinson. John Robinson has led the great and the mediocre, seen streaks and ruts, coached Heisman Trophy winners, Pro Bowlers and Rose Bowlers, and this year he has witnessed the swift decline of a team that was in the midst of a magical season. It was a great start at 4-0. They were looking good at 7-2, and then came 4 consecutive losses. When any other coach might have been down, John Robinson welcomed the challenge.
This is the most exciting time in a coach's life, is when you're losing. I mean, it's you're riveted to what you're doing, and the things that are going inside your stomach are the same things that you find out. Just, hey, find out who you are.
This season, John Robinson should know himself well, but although losing can be challenging and make you work harder at the X's and O's, it can also be painful.
It hurts when you lose. I mean, you feel physical pain when you lose. Doesn't matter what you do. If you don't, you shouldn't have played. I think this game produces the highs that are the highest and the lows that are the lowest. And both of those places are far better than being in the middle and bored.
Even professional athletes need guidance to know what's wrong. But what do you tell the team during a slump?
The thing we talk about that we always try to avoid, say, I confess it's your fault or his fault or something, not me, you know, I didn't drop that ball. Or you have to kind of build a resistance to outside influences that come. They don't make you win or lose, but they come after, and they can make you feel bad, you know, and you can become divided because of that.
But John has a method to convey the winning feeling again to his team.
I try to talk about the things that I think that you have to do to be successful, to get the best out of yourself. And a lot of it is drudgery. Whether you're a musician, if you're Itzhak Perlman, or if you're Lynn Swann, or if you're whoever you are, you pay a price to get to that level, and it's a price in drudgery.
The Rams have the added pressure of playing in the city of exceptional teams and stars. There's Wayne Gretzky, who came to town to boost the Kings. The Lakers, who've won back-to-back NBA championships. And the Dodgers, who just won the World Series. Robinson says that can be an advantage.
I'd sooner have them there and have my team see Kurt Gibson. I mean, if you're a player and you don't say, God, I wish I was me, or maybe that can be me. You know, if you're Jim Everett and you look at Kurt Gibson, and you got to say, well, I'm going to be in the Super Bowl, the same audience, and I'm going to throw the pass at the end of the game, and we're going to win it. Same thing's going to happen. Same fantasies. I think the closer those fantasies are, the better chance you have of changing those dreams into reality.
For almost 30 years, some of football's greatest names have come under John Robinson's influence in college or the pros. Some have won rushing titles. Some have won Heisman trophies. Some will even make the Hall of Fame. Those relationships will always be special, but the game is what gives this coach motivation to go forward.
You know, one of the great things about sport is you get to play again. And in this league, you get to play the best. Tonight we're playing, as we said, one of the best teams, national audience. I mean, you can't get any better than that.
John Robinson, an emotional coach, and I know firsthand as we're in college, he gave me a few pep talks where his face was about 3 inches away from mine. But an interesting stat here, the Los Angeles Rams have 11 players over 30. The only team with more players over 30 are the Los Angeles Raiders, which means with a combination of young players, he has to have this team get back to their professional fundamentals and the intensity. When we come back, we'll have the announcers take a look at the playoff picture the last 2 weeks of the National Football League season.
Back at Anaheim Stadium, two quarterbacks, Jim Everett and Jim Harbaugh, loosening up. Neither electrifying in the first half, dominated by the field goal kickers. All of the scoring has come from their toes. 2 by Lansford, 1 by Butler. 6-3 in favor of the Rams as we start the second half on a beautiful night. Temperature about 70 in Anaheim. Lansford kicks off to Chicago. Thomas Sanders takes it up at the 12. And Tim Terrell brings him down at the 29-yard line. And so Chicago begins its first second-half drive from the 29 as this ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by Miller Lite, official sponsor of the Miller Lite NFL Lineman of the Year Award, and by Mercedes-Benz, engineered like no other car in the world.
I think the reason scoring's down is as much as anything to the conservative nature of both the offenses. Jim Everett for the Rams, they don't want to get him pounded. They want him to get rid of the ball early, throw it away if he has to. And Harbaugh making his first stop. They haven't given him a whole lot of things to do. They'd just like to run and control it if they can.
From the 29, Harbaugh protected well, walks it over the middle to Thornton, who breaks the tackle, and another, and gets the first down. Run out of bounds by Eckerd.
Got it, Dan. Look at the arms on that dude.
Well, yeah, let's ask Jerry Gray about James Thornton's arms. I think Jerry Gray is the corner that comes up and tries to put a pretty good shot on Thornton and is rejected. There's Jerry Gray, number 20. Let's see if we can get a shot of it here. Just a safe, conservative dump off underneath. Here's Gray, and look at that perfect form. He's got the hat right in the middle, the arms out, and he gets trampled for all his efforts.
He's getting well over that one he dropped in the second quarter.
12-yard gain, first down at the 41. The short drop and a quick pass, and a dangerous pass dropped by Gentry, incomplete. Coming up to cover was Irvin and Stewart. Second down.
Gentry, they like to get the ball to Gentry on little hits like this, a little slant in, a little slant out, because he can do so much with the ball after he catches it. A former running back that went outside and legitimate 3 years ago, and he can do so much after he gets his hands on the football.
Second down 10 at the 41-yard line. Going deep for Gentry. He's double covered, and it's incomplete. Irvin right there with him, and Johnny Johnson coming over to help out as well.
Well, those are the kind of mistakes I think that a quarterback without a great deal of game experience is going to make. Jim Harbaugh taking chances, making up his mind early, and throwing into the coverage that really I don't think Mike Ditka or the Chicago Bears wanted him to see. Leroy Irvin didn't bite on that stutter by Gentry at all, and luckily for Harbaugh, it was such a poorly thrown pass to the outside, or that's got to be an interception.
Good look at the inside-outside coverage, too. Perfectly played by 47 Irvin and Johnny Johnson coming over from free safety.
Shotgun, 3rd and 10 from the 41. McKinnon in motion. Harbaugh under pressure, decked as he throws, and that pass is incomplete. And again, good coverage on that play. Ron Morris, the intended receiver, and Mike Wilcher decked Harbaugh as he released.
And you are being kind by saying that Mike Wilcher decked Harbaugh. He knocked him silly. And that's coming from the left side. Watch the left side of your screen. Mike Wilcher will have run a loop from the inside. And look at the shot that he puts on Jim Harbaugh. Luckily, Harbaugh had his fall broken by one of his teammates that was already on the ground.
Wilcher beat one of the best in Coburn.
You don't have many of those left in you during the course of a ball game.
Brian Wagner to punt. Clifford Hicks Back to receive. Bad end over end low kick. And it's dead at the 25-yard line. The Rams have it for the first time in the second half at that spot after a 34-yard punt. 43 seconds into the third quarter. 6-3 LA.
About what you're doing.
All right, Franken on first down. The Rams from the 25-yard line, and Everett goes for Ellard and hits him for a first down up at the 43-yard line. Tackle made by Vesti Jackson.
You watch that, Brian. Wouldn't it be nice if you could have taken Orser out like that up in Calgary?
Yeah, it's a great piece because it shows that we're really friends off the field.
What are you doing now, personally?
Well, now I've been spending the last month filming the Canvas of Ice, but then I'll be touring the nation in May and June of next year, so I'm going to be pretty busy.
Brian, thank you for joining us again. It's Canvas on Ice. It will be at 8 o'clock Eastern Time here on ABC, and then on the West Coast immediately following the game. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you. It's nice to see you.
Good to see you again.
On first down, Everett goes to the air again for Damone Johnson, and incomplete up at the 47-yard line. So it'll be second down and 10. Rams with the football for the first time in the third period, on top by a score of 6-3. Some of these receivers run a few patterns we should have Boitano describe.
Yeah, and it's quite a show, I understand. Canvas on Ice, December 19th, and that'll be at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, right before Chicago, Minnesota, and then on the West Coast, it'll be immediately following the game.
Second down and 10. And Greg Bell takes it to the 47 of Chicago and close to a first down. So Bell, who was used extensively at the beginning of the game, and then they went away from him in the second quarter. His first carry of the second half here, and there it is. In the first 6 games of the year, he was sensational. Then he had a shoulder injury, and that limited his playing time. And he bounced back last week to gain 112 against Denver. And tonight only a 2.3 average, but right there he picks up a first down on a 10-yard pickup to the 47. And Everett, while we were talking to Brian Boitano, the pass to Ellard established a new Rams single-season passing record as Everett tries to increase it, but too deep, intended for Aaron Cox. Jim Everett up over the 3,000-yard mark last week in Denver, and he eclipses the mark set by Vince Ferragamo back in 1983. And there it is up to the minute, 32-87 for Jim Everett, who puts his name into the book.
What a different individual than we met 3 years ago, Al. You can recall coming out here late in the season, shy, quiet. He walked into our meeting room last night, cool, suave, joking, having a good time. He says he's loving it.
I think you really have to appreciate the significance of those numbers, though, and how low they are. In this current age, a team like the Rams going 3,200 yards is number one.
Bell spinning and takes it to the 40, and of course the Rams through the years, especially under Robinson, synonymous with the running game, and that's why some of those numbers are so low.
You think of the great quarterbacks, Van Brocklin and Waterfield, but you have to also remember they were playing in 12-game seasons.
And of course, remember, before this guy was Chuck Knox, and we all know about his conservative offensive approach and his love of the ground game as well. But still, in the era of lots of quarterbacks going over 4,000 yards, Dan Marino has gone over 5,000 yards. I mean, it's when you look at a franchise like the Rams, where 3,200 yards puts you in number one, it's kind of staggering.
Third down and 3. And the pass is intercepted by Dave Duerson. And he brings it back to the 50-yard line. On a 3rd and 3, in and out of the hands of Damone Johnson and into the hands of Duerson as the Rams turn it over to Chicago.
Boy, and that looks like a catchable ball all the way by Damone Johnson. Maurice Douglas right in on the play. It'll be interesting to see on a replay if he got in there and forced Johnson to drop the ball. A well-thrown ball here by Everett. There's Douglas, and he does. Look how he gets his right hand and actually pulls it.